Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. You know, it's your girl, Malika, aka Mali, aka Malibu, whatever you want to call me. Welcome back to this channel. Now, today I want to talk about why I left Jamaica as a teacher to teach in the United States. So, if that is something that you are interested in, stay tuned, hang tight, and remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. So let's go back to the year of 2019, where I basically was about to start my master's at UWE. Now, within this same year, one night I just got up in the middle of the night and I just started sending out some applications to agencies all around the world, agencies for the US, agencies for China. I don't think Japan, but mostly Dubai because at the time I was really obsessed with working in Dubai. I wanted to work in Dubai so badly. Anyway, I applied to the program which I'm currently A1 visa program. Cool. Now, mind you, at this time I was kind of apprehensive about actually going overseas to work because starting new studies and starting a new job at the same time can definitely be a struggle, especially when your new job is in another country. But anyway, I went ahead and I applied. Now, I had applied about July, August, thereabout. I'm not so sure, but usually July, August, they would have already hired people for the roles. And I guess they didn't want anybody from my subject area at the time. Now, mind you, let me just backtrack a little bit. You can get through July, August, even September, October, depending on the subject that you teach and the demand for it in that season. We all have our seasons, and I guess that wasn't my season. Anyway, so they didn't need anybody from my subject area, which is Spanish and French. Cool. By the next year, I would have already completed 1 year at UA doing my master's. Totally forgot about my studies at the time. But anyway, they still would not have contacted me because the US government had asked for teachers who had completed their 5 years on the program to remain an extra year because by 2020 it was the heights of COVID. And so they had asked for those teachers to remain. So once more, they would not need me for my services. At the time, as I said before, I didn't even remember that I had applied. I was deep into my studies. The only thing that would make my life perfect would be if I had a job close to my home. Now, I was working at a school in St. Andrew, Jamaica. I was about to say Kingston, but really St. Andrew, Jamaica. And I liked my job there. I liked the people that I worked with. I enjoyed teaching my students. It was fun. But the missing piece of the puzzle was really that I needed to work closer to home. My husband is also a teacher. He used to work in Kingston and he used to bring me to school used to take me to school every morning. But when he got in Spanish Town, trust me, it got real for me. And I was like, okay, I need a job in Spanish Town as well because driving myself to work for 1 hour every day is not really it. No, even though at the time we were in the pandemic, we were teaching from home, I knew that one day we would get back to face teaching, and I wanted something for when we got back to that mode of teaching and learning. So when the opportunity came, that was around late November thereabout, I saw a job posting for a school in Spanish Town, which is basically where my home is. Cool. I was definitely excited about that, nervous to apply as well, because the job that I had in Kingston, St. Andrew, was my very first job. And if you know anything about leaving your first job, worse when you enjoy the experience, it's definitely nerve-wracking to just get up and leave. I also had a group of students at the time that I was teaching from my very first year at that school. They were now in fifth form, and they were about to do their CSEC examinations. So I felt very guilty about even thinking about leaving them at that time. But it was just my opportunity to finally get to a school which was close to my home. So I applied. I did the interview with this school. I got the job. Now, people, there is a TikTok going around which says the job that you prayed for, cried for, is the job that becomes your worst nightmare. And that was the truth for me. That was my experience at that school. Now, while we were virtual, and I did enjoy working with the students at that new school, everything else was just not what I expected it to be. So I basically resigned my job in St. Andrew December 31, 2020, and I started my new role at that new institution January 1, 2021. Yes, January 1 is a holiday. However, on paper, that is how it is written. That's my start date. Plus, I insisted on them writing January 1 on the paper because I did not want to break my service. Because if you know anything about the Jamaican education system as a teacher, once you break a service, you are no longer eligible for your 4 months leave after you've completed your 5 years. You have to start all over again to be eligible for that 4 months leave. And I knew that I had that coming up. I did not want to break my service. So yeah, anyway, started the job. And from the interview, actually, I should have spotted the red flags, because for every question that I would ask them, at the end of the interview, they asked if you have questions, and I was there asking my questions, asking, do we collaborate with lesson plans? Do we do this? Do we do that? And all the responses were no. But anyway, I accepted in my mind that, every school has a different way of operating. I did not want to turn down a job because I'm expecting the school to be exactly the same as my previous school. I have to give it a fair try and just understand that this is a new experience, and just be happy for the fact that it was now closer to home, which is what I really, really, really wanted. Anyway, so I started the job, and the first thing that was definitely something that weighed me down, I developed anxiety issues over this lesson planning at this school. Here's why. So at my former institution, lesson plans were due on a Sunday evening. Fine. I know that realistically speaking, if somebody's supposed to mark your lesson plans, you need to give them ample time to mark it. Cool. I get that. So my lesson plans were due on a Wednesday, which is kind of early in the week, because if you understand anything about teaching, you need at least Thursday evening to know what you're going to do the next week, because by Wednesday still kind of fresh. Sometimes you don't finish the plan that you had in place for that week, and there are some things that you perhaps need to carry over into the next week, and Wednesday would be too early to say what you may need to carry over into the next week. But anyway, plans were due on a Wednesday, and given the work or the type of worker that I am, I do not like to be late with anything. So I would always ensure to get my lesson plans in on time. But then came the issue. So I would send my lesson plans in, and then I would get my lesson plans would be returned to me electronically, that is, with a whole heap of corrections. And it made me feel small, because I'm like, okay, I've been working for a few years at this former institution. There were not any major issues with my lesson plans. And now I'm at this new institution, and there are so many issues. Mind you, the former institution had better ranking than this new institution. But once again, I told myself, all right, you're at a new school. You cannot expect things to be the exact way they were at your former school. So work with the program. So send in my lesson plans, get them back with a heap of corrections or changes to be made. And then I would make the corrections, send them back to the HOD, and think that everything airy. No. Then I would get the lesson plan back with new corrections. So let's say the first lesson plan, the corrections said, change A, B, and C. I would correct it, send it in, and then I would get it back with, now change X, Y, and Z. Now that's very frustrating, because time is golden. If I put my time and effort into doing a plan, just send me all the corrections at once so I can send you them back the way you want them, instead of sending me these, sending it back, and it's just a big back and forth. And I'm like, what time do I have for my family, for my me time? And so I found myself doing lesson plans every single day until after 10, 11, 12 in the night. And when I say every day, I mean every single day. Now, at my former school, there were some days when, okay, this would be like, all right, this is my lesson planning day or my lesson planning days. And you know that, all right, you get it done. That's it, you move on. But for this particular school, I was doing plans every single day. Now, I had a one friend in a different department at this school that I knew from the former school that was not working at this school as well. And when I spoke to her, I just wanted to know, is it the same thing in your department? And she said, no, nothing like that. So I knew that this was not the standard right across the board. It was just within my department, and it was very annoying. So because of this, I felt like I was just not good enough. I constantly felt like whenever I would send in my lesson plans, they were just not up to par. Now, I kept encouraging myself and saying to myself, over time, this will get better. You're still new to this school. You're still trying to learn the ways of this department. Over time, it will get better. So I was thinking after maybe a month or two, I would get into the rigors of this department. No, it maintained the same rigor right until the end. Anyway, so that's one part of it. Then there was the other part of not feeling or not getting the level of professionalism that I had expected from my supervisor, my HOD. And I don't want to say too much, but basically, as a new teacher at an institution where we're even virtual, we're not face to face, right? It's easier to become friendly or friends with somebody when we are face to face, but we're virtual. And I felt so uncomfortable with my HOD calling to ridicule other people's lesson plans. And I'm new, you don't know me, we're not friends. It was just so uncomfortable. So I'll just be there listening on the phone and just listening because I'm new, but just I listen, right? And then I'm thinking in my head, is this lady calling other people and ridiculing my lesson plans as well, making a mockery of it? And then I was so confused in all of it because my lesson plans were constantly being sent back to me to correct and whatnot. But yet I was being asked to do a presentation on lesson planning for the rest of the department, on some aspects of lesson planning for the rest of the department. So I'm like, am I good at it or am I not? Because on one hand, you're constantly asking me to correct this and that. And on the other hand, you're asking me to do a presentation. So I am so confused. The things that I was being asked to correct were things like just general expressions. Now, I'm a person who believes that once you understand what somebody is saying, communication has occurred. And so I felt like we were majoring in the minor. So just because I perhaps expressed something differently from how you would, perhaps, that doesn't mean that it's incorrect. It just means I express myself differently from you. There's no one way to communicating in life, right? So I felt like that was just a simple thing to constantly be correcting. So anyway, so yes, I felt overwhelmed at that school for that reason. Now, I had put out on TikTok that at this same institution, new institution, I remember calling my HOD. We were virtual, and there's some people who feel like when you're virtual, you can't take a day. Like, there's no such thing as being sick. But I was genuinely ill one of the days, and I felt like I could not go on. I called my HOD, and I said to her, listen, I don't think I can make it to work today. What's the protocol for, when you're missing a day? What should I do? Because, some schools you have to tell another teacher, let them take away a class or whatever it is. So I just wanted to know what to do because I really wasn't feeling well. And my HOD encouraged me to just tell her through, do the classes. But she said, all right, just don't put it all into it. Just give the students some work to do and sit down and watch them online. So I'm going to say, all right, cool, I can do that. Oh my God. By my second session, this lady was in my class to assess me. And then she had a style when she's assessing you while you're online, she's texting you at the same time. Don't say this or write this or write that. And I'm like, can I just finish the lesson first and then you give me my feedback afterwards? But you can't be giving me feedback while I'm doing the lesson. But I really found it to be kind of wicked for me to tell you that I'm ill. I didn't want to go to school that day, and you told me to go to school, and then you still chose to assess me on that very day. So these are the burdens that I was bearing at this school. As I said before, I developed serious anxiety issues from working at this school in this particular department. Now, whenever it was time for me to send in my lesson plans, my heart would literally start palpitating because I'll be like, oh God, oh God, oh God, this is not going to be good enough once again. And I'm just expecting the bad reports. And then there would be just this 1% of faith in my mind to say, all right, maybe this is going to be the time when it's up to par for this person. But no, ma'am. No, sir. It was never, ever good enough. So yes, I was enduring all of that at this school. And in April 2021, I remember April 12th to be exact, I was texting all my friends that I wrote a resignation letter, which I did. I just didn't send it into the school. But I wrote this resignation letter in faith that I would receive a better job, or not even better job, just another job. At the time, I had applied to a call center. I got through for this call center, didn't take it because the money that they were offering, I really would not be able to live on it. And I'm telling you, at the time, if I had not had a loan that I was working on, I would have taken it. But because of that loan, I could not take that call center job because it wouldn't work out. Backtracking on this same school, another part of my stress, I would be online on WhatsApp. Remember, WhatsApp is a personal thing, Employers, supervisors, they do not understand that me giving you my WhatsApp number, it is a privilege, it's not a right. It's just giving it to you so that you can communicate with me a little bit easier. But by right, you're supposed to send me an email and wait on me to respond. But in Jamaica, we give our employers and our supervisors our WhatsApp numbers, and that's how they communicate. So I would be on WhatsApp at 12 a.m. Maybe I can't sleep. At the time, I think I struggled with insomnia. So I'd be online at like 12 a.m. and I would get a message from my HOD about some form of work, whether lesson plan or whatever it is. And I would ignore the text because it's 12 a.m. And then I would get a subsequent text saying, I see that you read the message. Could you answer, please? Yo, when me telling us stress. Anyway, back to the resignation. So I wrote my resignation letter in faith on April 12. And can I tell you that May 12, 2021, exactly 1 month after, or French in the U.S. So of course, I called a friend of mine who I knew was on the program just to double check that she knows this name or that she knew this name. She said yes, because I didn't want to come up in any human trafficking kind of situation. And then I responded to the president and I said, yes, I am still interested. She said, okay. She called me just to do some background questions, just to see if I would be a right fit for the role. She told me that there was an interview that she had lined up for the next day and if I would be available. And of course I said yes. I gave her the time. I did the interview and I was successful on spot. Now I have to talk about this part of the testimony as well, that I told her after I got through with the job, I told her, hey, my husband is a teacher. And she said, okay. She got him an interview as well. He was successful. And now we're both in the United States. 2 teachers. Jamaica lost 2 teachers, 2 great teachers. And yes, I can call myself a great teacher and my husband a great teacher because I know how hard we both work. So yes, 2 teachers to go to the United States. My intention at the time was not to leave Jamaica. No. At the time, in 2021, my mind was solely on being closer to home for work. And that was it. That was good enough for me at the time. Maybe further down the line, I would go abroad. I don't know. But in that moment, I did not want to leave for the US or to any country, especially because of the pandemic. And it was, many people who left their jobs during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, would tell you that, boy, it was a tough decision to make, because you're like, oh my God, all of this is happening in the world. Why would I even quit my job now? But I'm telling you, that work environment and that work situation definitely led me, or made the decision much easier. And even when I tell this story to friends, they're saying, listen, if you had stayed at your first school in St. Andrew, you perhaps would not have taken up. And I know for a fact that in 2021, I would not have taken up the job for the US had they called me at that time. But because I was at that second school, God had it that I would be at that second school, just to show me that the ease of my problems is not necessarily just moving closer to home. So I needed to experience that so that I could accept this. In another video, I will go ahead and tell you what it has been like teaching here in the US, the struggles, the good things, bad things, everything in between. Thank you so much if you've made it this far to the video. I know that I did a lot of talking, but thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. This is your girl, Malika, aka Malibu, and I'm out.